What happened
Mm-hmm.
was I recently refreshed my PC, so now I'm unable to do it using Linux instance.
You're not able to log into Jenkins instance,
I'm unable to
right?
install it. I was stuck at the key extraction part. I mean, we'll get a key, right? Uh,
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
we have we have this W get.
You're stuck there. Yeah, understood it. So you're not able to get the DPKG key, it is locking you there itself. So what did you do with your PC? You just restart, I mean like, you just rebooted your PC or you did an update or what did you do? Hello? Hello? May not hear us. You can hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it switched off network on its own actually, I mean, that's the reason. Yeah. So what I was telling is, what did you do? You just rebooted your instance, or were you, you have gone for an update, or you uninstalled it and you're trying to install it again? What was the scenario?
No, I'm trying to install it.
For the first time.
Yeah, it's for the first time. In previously, I had it in my system, but what happened was I completely refreshed my system and everything. So now I'm unable to install it again.
Okay. There would be one folder, Sampath, DPKG. Just go to that folder DPKG and do one thing. There'll be a lock for for a particular service. There'll be a lock inside. Trying removing that lock, maximum it should work out. So why is it not able to save a key? Means either the key is already existing and it's not having proper permissions to override it. That could be one scenario.
It's actually showing
Were
me
you
as
root user?
command not found.
Command not found. So probably should
When I'm
do
copy
one thing.
pasting that wget complete command, it's showing me as command
This
not
one, right?
found.
This one. Okay.
Yeah, that
You're
one.
doing this one. This one. It will not work in that environment. Some apt key. It is for Ubuntu environment.
Okay, so for Linux, what do I change it there?
Linux, you have another way of installing it. Probably, I'll give you end of the session. Everything we are speaking about only Ubuntu environment here. Okay, no problem. I'll give you Linux one. Okay, once I'm done with session, I'll give you Linux one. Okay,
Yeah, sure.
you have to get the key from Red Hat, and then save it and then proceed further. It has a different set of steps to be followed. I'll tell you. start today's session. It would be yeah, SAS pass and Glassfish and IIS, right? And Marvel. I'd like to start off a build tool today. Is it fine for you?
No problem.
It's a better option actually. So I want to start off with Chef today. Okay. So uh, one of the configuration management tools, most no, renowned and popular. So before I start off with Chef, so I wanna ask you, what is configuration? What is Chef all about? What is it speaking about? Simply, it is nothing but a configuration management tool. By word configuration management tool, what should I say? What is it trying to configure? What is it all about? Okay, so I mean both are the same. Puppet and Chef both are the same. Okay, both are open source configuration management and automation utility for infrastructure and services. Okay, so three questions simply: what is infrastructure, what is configuration management, and what is automation? It's all speaking about. Okay, so what is infrastructure? The servers on which we are working, simply the Linux server, the Linux instance on which you're working, the database instance, the what is the Windows servers, the deployment boxes, are all a part of infrastructure. Not only that, the routers, switches, whatever networking, whatever comes into, they're all part of infrastructure. Okay, so every time you have to do a deployment, let's say we'll do a deployment of a Tomcat deployment or a Apache deployment. Let's we know how we installed Apache, install yum install history video or apt install Apache, or yum install Tomcat 7 or apt install Tomcat 7 and make the environment ready so that end specific and make sure that the webs folder is empty, so that we'll put our code, I mean what is it, a var or a jar files there, and then we do a stop and start of the server so that our deployment is successful, right? So for doing this, before we do this, first thing, base thing is we need Tomcat to be installed. We need Apache to be installed. Not only that, there will be some more specific configurations with respect to a project. It's like, let's think like there is a database server. So you have to make sure, okay, so and so is a primary key, foreign key, everything. You have to specify everything. So in such a scenario, it's okay for you or for me to log into an instance and make sure all the changes are there. Let's say uh, one instance is there, I'll log in and see Tomcat is there and my web export is empty or not. I'll do this one. Okay. So I'm going to do it in 10 PCs. Okay. So 100 PCs. How is it going to work? So I think it is going to take a lot of time, right? A lot of time. Okay. Okay, time it's okay. We'll do something faster. We'll employ more people and we'll do it off. Let's say each person is allocated 10 PCs. One person installed this Tomcat in 9 PCs and he missed to install it in one PC. Okay, or there is some set of script which needs to be run with some parameters, which is run with the wrong parameter in one server. What happens is all the servers together form a cluster. When some operation is done together on this, let's say the server which is having a problem is the 20th server. So what happens is the further process will not work out on the rest 80 servers, but because 20th server is throwing an issue, it will stop there. It is there, and it will impact the infrastructure. It will impact the infrastructure because all 100 services are not running. Only on 20 services are running, and services are not available, or not all of the services are available for us. In such a scenario, first thing, either it is taking a long time, or it is, even though we can take a risk at that time, but still we have a problem is uh, there could be human errors because of which the setup might not be proper. Okay, in that scenario, there is something called as a configuration management tool. Okay, what is configuration management? Let's say when coming to Linux or some no, let's think about a bare Linux instance. A Linux instance has etc init conf, or just say home is Linux slash some file. That's a file. If you're making any changes to that file, okay, that's a default file. You're editing that file and you're writing your changes on top of it. It's nothing but your okay. You're trying to edit the configuration, or you're trying to make changes to the existing environment. Okay, so let's say there is a bare machine, you're trying to configure it configure it as per our requirement. Yes, done. In the same task, you're supposed to create a new folder. Yes, you have created, and there is some configuration file, config.xml file, and you're making changes to that config.xml file. All these steps are nothing but configuring your environment so that it is suitable or it supports your function. That is what this configuration management is. Okay, and automation. Yes, we are doing it once. Let's say I've come across a small script, a 10-line script, which makes this entire environment ready. Okay, up and ready. Okay. So, but thing is, myself, Spandana has to log into each and every server and run this script. Okay. So again, it's a tedious task, wherein when I'm trying to automate it from a configuration management tool like Chef and Puppet, what happens is it itself takes the ownership of running it to in all the sleeve nodes. Okay, so I have a first thing, whatever I do is I just have all the 100 servers as sleeves to this whatever particular configuration management tool, and it tries to run whatever commands we say on all the servers. When it runs on all the servers, it is stretched. The commands are executed on all the servers, which is like for each machine it takes 10 minutes of time. For totally 100 minutes, let's say 100 into 10. But here with this configuration management tool, on all the 100 instances, it takes together a 10 minute of time because everything is done in parallelly. Okay, so that is the advantage. Okay, how we are automating it is automation of all the tasks are being handled by this configuration management server itself. It itself is written in a way that it automates all the tasks. So like let's say I have to install Tomcat. Very simple we were talking about. So I say I have to get install Tomcat or yum install Tomcat. That's it. On command still I have to do an update, I have to install Tomcat, or else I have to install Jenkins. So I have to get update, then add the dpkg key and then install it. Okay. The only difference between Puppet and Chef, what I see is Puppet is straightforward. Chef is a bit more complex when compared to Puppet because it has few unnecessary concepts like data bags and all, which is like um, not so much required. Okay. But when you go to other things like Puppet, what happens is I say install Jenkins. You run all the commands, and let's say there is a problem with dpkg key. It'll try to run it, whatever all the commands we have specified, all is there. And let's say there's not a problem with dpkg key, but there is this problem with port. Because of port number, it is not able to start the server. Start the the service and come out, but not make sure that whether it is properly up and running or not. But there is a feasibility in Chef. We have verify command. What this verify command does is, once all the tasks whichever we do, whichever we give it does, it will try to verify whether everything is properly configured and properly running or not. It's like again doing a recheck for it. So that's the only difference which I can say. Apart from it, both are the same. So both have a master and slave type of architecture, wherein a puppet master or a chef master is the one who has the sole or entire what do you say, authority, which tries to push or move changes onto all the slave nodes or the client nodes, which will try to enforce all the changes onto these nodes and which has full permissions over this client nodes. Okay, so all over this client nodes, then it tries to execute whatever configuration changes or whatever configurations it has to do, or whatever installations or whatever cleanup it has to do, it will do on all the client nodes. Okay, any questions so far?
No, Spandana, nothing.
Yeah. Or then what is an automated infrastructure? Having basic services necessary for infrastructure to operate largely without the aid of an administrator. Okay, so you can just even go and think it in a very rough scenarios. Let's say we have a school. Okay, so what is the infrastructure inside school? Okay, classrooms and they're the basic infrastructure which we should have. Okay, and configuration management is like there is a timetable for everything, how it should go on, right? So so and so class is going to happen, so and so way it is supposed to run, everything. So it's like automated infrastructure. What it means is, let's say we have a school, we have all the basic infrastructure like benches, blackboard, everything, not students. So very little thing is, the very little administration part is here, that we are handling it like, hey, we are coming up with a uh, silver sheet saying that, hey, so it's for both students and for teachers that, hey, you guys go and sit in this room and you guys please go and teach in this room. That's it. That is what you're going to monitor, administer, a very little part, but the rest function on. You're not going to sit in a class and see, hey, you teach this topic, you teach this, you are you listening? This is not going to happen, right? So it's automated infrastructure is very similar. It's with a basic necessary service you should have, and it should help us to achieve something on a large scale basis. Okay, to operate largely without aid of an administrator. Okay. So why puppet or why chef? I have it only for puppet or presentation, so that's what I was going off through. Anyways, it will be helpful for both even. Okay, so why puppet? Volume and complexity of infrastructure is going and making it difficult to manage. Yes, because if I have to make configuration changes in 10 servers, I'll say it's okay, no problem, 10 servers I can manage, and I'll make sure that I'm doing it configuration changes properly. I'll re-verify it manually. Okay, 10 servers. So earlier you're working on 10 servers, but now there is a requirement, and you were earlier supporting some 6 to 7 applications. So um, you have got an opportunity to migrate 10 or 20 more applications, for which you need 15 more servers. Okay, so total it scales to 25 servers. So you want to make sure first thing that it is the method in which your configuration or doing your configurations or you're verifying your servers should be very efficient way, so that in a first release we have a very good impression that these people are working really good, and they have good procedures to follow, so that all the configuration management or all the um, let's not all the infrastructure is properly configured and they have proper methodologies to implement, and they have given a good output. That's the reason why they have given you furthermore migration of 10 to 15 applications. So when it comes to 10 to 15 more applications, first thing you have to put up the responsibility which was given to us, saying this, we have done this in a first release in a very excellent way, we have handled it. Coming to this, we have to maintain it, and we have to even improve ourselves and make sure that nothing is create wrongly uh, configured or installed, or anything of such thing happens. And second thing is, time is also a very important factor. Nowadays, let's see, most of the assignments in which we will be working would be not gone are the days when you'll say, you have an assignment for couple or years, or 5-6 months. That is gone. So mostly every assignment in which we will be working is 6 to 8 weeks, 7 to 9 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. That's it. Maximum time you'd be getting 6 to 8 weeks or 7 to 9 weeks. This would be the time which you would be getting this amount of time. So you have to make sure that first whatever work we are submitting is very accurate, and it is very it is free of any errors, and it should be a time saving thing for us, and it should be you know it should be in a way that when we are presenting it to client, it should be very clear. It shouldn't be quite clumsy. I have written 20 number of scripts which does all the works using what a puppet or chef is doing, but end of the day it's quite difficult for it to organize and explain even what is happening inside it. Probably it needs to log in, it has to do all this drama and all. What happens in all this processes, when you're trying to show some application to your client, it should be even clear, and it should be even understandable. That is the reason why when coming to source code management tools, we have JIT, SVN and full of them, but why is JIT preferred when compared to SVN and all? This will be one of the most common question asked whenever someone is interviewing you. They do ask a very probably 90% of scenario they'll ask you one question: why JIT? What are the advantages? And which source code management tool would you prefer? So the answer for is, it is best is JIT. And why do you prefer it is, it is very it is very easy. From a layman's perspective, a client has some knowledge but is not technically so sound. But you shouldn't make him feel bad that, hey, you don't have any technical skills, or whatever technical skills you have is not enough. That is what we shouldn't make our client feel. We should make him understand, boss, whatever you have is good, and with the basic understanding or a basic knowledge transfer, whichever we are giving, you will be able to handle or maintain this whatever setup which we are giving to you. In that scenario, it should, whatever tool we are using, or whatever um, tool or whatever environment or whatever we are using, should be first very customer friendly. Coming to JIT, it doesn't have any structure, any directory structure or nothing. How you have it in your local machine, the same way you create folders inside it and you upload all the data inside it. Very easy, and very basic operations like push, pull, update, and commit, clone. Very simple operations. But when you go to SVN, that's not the scenario. You have a specific directory structure. Everything is quite complex going there. So it is not easy for a client to handle it without a help of someone, unless and until he's technically strong. That scenario, we can't sell them like it comes to a matter something like this is, hey, we have given you this service, for you to work on it, hire some of our employees, which doesn't look good. So whatever we are presenting should be very simple even. So I told you, we are right? But why put it on a Linux server and then try to shoot it, log into all the servers, run all the configurations inside it and do it. So rather what we would do is we would like simply take help of a configuration management tool like Chef or Puppet, and then simply with the help of this tool, I would simply do one thing. With the help of this tool, whatever changes I want to write, I'll write inside it. Whatever configuration changes I have to make, I'll incorporate inside the server. Only thing will be my client, my very simple thing. What the end user experience would be something like this. Hey, you don't have any basic knowledge, fine. You want to make sure that a new service is installed, or a new or a HTML file is deployed in another location, or else the so-and-so file needs to be changes in its configuration. If you want to update it, this is the exact location where you have to come, you have to upload, you have to update and go. That's it. That is your job, and there ends your job, and the next job will be taken care by the configuration management tool. So that which makes life very easy, and whatever we are doing it manually 10 times, there is always a mistake that human errors do occur. That's a normal human tendency, but that can be avoided. Once you're doing it, it is all working fine. When you're trying to make the same changes from the configuration management tool, check it whether it works once. If it works once fine on one server, it would obviously work fine on all of the servers. Okay, so what is the main use case scenario in which we will be using this configuration tools would be, first one, for configuration of environment. Okay, so what do I mean by configuration of environment? Now there is one beautiful concept in AWS which I should probably speak up. So there is one concept called as auto scaling. Okay, so what is this auto scaling, and what it does is, this is service of AWS. When you configure this auto scaling group and set a threshold limit like 70%, 80%, 60%, 50%, what it does is, there's already a server up and running, and when it reached a traffic, when traffic has reached 80% of its resources utilized, it immediately raises for a help, and what it does is it creates one more instance, okay, with whatever image we provide. Okay, it creates one more instance. So when it creates one more instance, so this instance should, after creating this instance, it will wait for a couple of minutes, and then it will share traffic between these two machines and these two servers. Both of them will become a cluster. A cluster is something but two instances with a similar, exactly similar configuration, in which these traffic can be routed among these two, and the load on the server to be pulled down. Okay, so when we are doing this, and when we are trying to route the traffic between these two servers equally, first major thing is, this two should be a exact replica. The second server should be an exact replica of the first server, or else how is it going to work out, right? So but we have a base file, base image, and after creating a base image, let's say this server is configured with Tomcat, and inside it Catalina is configured, and there is two or three folders created on home folder, and uh, some changes made in etc files to some configurations. This is all what done on the first server. So coming to second server, the same thing should be done on the second server. It is not preferable to take a snapshot, because first time we have made configuration, fine. If you take a snapshot of it and then save it as well, but there are few scenarios that few services will not be started on a boot up. Even though you configure it to start on a boot up, we are configured, or there might be some other changes which we are doing onto this instance. Like let's say the first server, it's not always a preferable task to take an image of it, save it, and launch from it. Take an image of it, save it, and launch from it. That's not a specific. That's not advisable. Instead, most of the scenarios, a base image, like let's say Ubuntu, a Linux, Windows, a base is taken. On this base, whatever configuration changes you are making here, every time you make some changes, the config, the module or cookbook, whatever, all the configuration changes you are doing here is taken a note into any of this, which will be used to configure the further instance. Okay, so whatever now instance which is created as a part of auto scaling group, it's a base Ubuntu image or a base Linux or a base Windows image, on which we have to always make sure that the server is ready with all the folders whichever we needed, all the changes in the configuration files, and all the deployment servers with the proper configurations. So this is one use case which we would be using. Second one is deployments. So let's say I'm doing a HTML deployment. Simple. Best way to look into it is a HTML deployment, where HTML file is being deployed into a Apache HTTP server, or via www/html, or some or, line IS server. It is being deployed. Fine. So firstly, it's a normal deployment on one server. So I would log in, run all the commands. It's fine. So a couple of more servers, what I would do is I'll write a small script to automate the deployment. But script runs, that's it. No update or no live output is seen, and for a script to run on one server, it is fine. For a script to run on another server, I have to either get a SSH key of that server, and this server, we have to copy SSH keys. We have to make sure that these two servers are communicating via some secure protocol. Okay. After proper connection is established, or else you should make sure that you're logging into that server with the proper username and password. Then you have to run your script. If it's running fine, that's it. But no such statistics is maintained anywhere. Okay, so but when you come to this, or all your clients are already one time they're added as a server, as a clients to the master server, you need not always establish a connection between both of them, but simply whatever changes you want to make, you just put it there. Okay, inside it. Same configuration application, no, same what is the script file which you're using it there and running it from this machine, Linux server. We'll try to run it from Puppet Master or Chef Master, which will not ask us to once which will not ask us to provide any of the provide any of the secure logins, or make sure that the proper connection is established. And this shouldn't be every time I'm making some changes. If I have to sit on a part and check for establishing a connection, so that would be all my time. But rather it should be in a way that I did not bother about it, and once done, it should be done. It should be picked up by the master all the time. I'm not going to look into it every time, but I'm doing it only once. It should be looked up by the master. Okay. So deployments, coming to deployments, we can the same way in which we are doing normal deployments, all the deployments of whatever is the server, that could be managed from Chef or Puppet. And simply for doing a deployment, we need to have a source file. We need to specify where it needs to be getting deployed. Okay, simply that's it. There ends our job. With the proper permissions, we are going to make a deployment. That's it. So that should work out. So one is a configuration, and second one is a deployment. That would be the most uh, wide way of using it. and something is like automation of some package installations. I refer everything into a configuration. Installing a package or making changes to a file or creating a folders is all nothing but configuring your system, right? So I've put everything into a single term configuration and deployment. So this is what would be the major use case. Okay. Yes, somewhere here. Okay. Volume and complexity of infrastructure is growing, making it difficult to manage. Business demands for faster products without sacrificing security and reliability. Puppet automates every step of software delivery process from provisioning of physical and virtual machines to orchestration and reporting from early stage code development through testing, production, release and updates. So let's say again through testing, production, release and updates. I'm doing a deployment similarly whatever, let's say we have some test suits running to be run on all these machines. Okay, so rather than putting it in Jenkins and adding all these machines as sleeves and then running a test suite from there and doing a build and then waiting for a result, for every test, let's say it's a um, what's unit test, there is a way of running a unit test space the test scenario or module or whatever, what do we call it, test suite. It is written under some a folder, like let's say it is testing, um, what is it testing, it is testing the implementation. So there will be some directory implementation, under it you have some test scenarios. When you refer this implementation, it runs all the test scenarios inside it. When you, I guess when you run unit test or something, it run all the test suites inside it, it will give us a output. So that can be even used here. Okay, so just copying the test suites from a server to a client and then sorry, from a master to a client and running and doing a trigger. So whatever we can do from GUI always has an option to do it from a CLI. There can always be an option of doing it manually. So just write a small command which will trigger a test suite. Same way, whatever task we want to do it from any of the servers, it's a build server or some server, that could be done here from Puppet EP. Okay. Just a small example of how it was. So pre-installation of DNS, DHCP, some networking stuff on a typical server. Okay, and then installation of configurations, install write custom scripts inside it, make it jump start and just start the server. After that, any fixes, updates, and audits. It's something like it's a hamster race which keeps on remitting. Some fix you do, some update you do it. Again, it fix something back, you again come back, do it. Again, you monitor it. This is all which happens. Okay. What are the disadvantages with the pre-Puppet or without when you're doing it manually? What are the disadvantages is everything requires a management and login perform. I told you, right? For everything we need to log in. We have to take care about the proper secure login. We have to establish a connection properly. Okay, and then write some ad hoc scripts or some ad hoc scripts, some scripts which are automating the process. Okay, and it is not scalable. If at all, let's say I have a script. I have a script very good use. I have a script which runs on 10 servers configured. Okay, so now I've added a new server. Okay, let's say I have added 10 more servers, the same scenario which we spoke about. 15 more servers were added to it. So total 25 servers. So but I have this running in 10 servers. First thing I should make sure is all these 15 servers should have a proper SSH connection established. A proper secure connection should be established, and I have to specify it manually that run the script as a SSH IP username password or something, and then I have to run this so and so home/linux/script/dot/test.script something, whatever it is, test script.sh. This you have to run it on 10 servers. 10 times I have to give it, if I have to write, include it 15 times, I have to include the 15 more times. Okay, manually. It's not scalable on its own. But when you come to here, and when you come here, the script, whatever you are trying to execute, it's the same, but the execution procedure, I said, right, I have to log in and say, on this server with the same IP, login, do this. Server IP, do this. So I have to give it everything manually. So it cannot do it on its own. It doesn't have knowledge. But when you come to Puppet or Chef, you add a client to it. Okay, it knows now, when you're trying to push changes, it knows very clearly that it has to be run on all these instances, all this infrastructure even, right? It is not confined only to that infra. It knows that it has to run all these changes on even all these missions even. Okay, the scalable, and everyone their own problem with it. There is some problem. I have to sit, the same set, this could be replicated in another project, which again they have some other problem. They'll all sit and work on their own. But when you come to Puppet era, we have some mature tools. Okay, what I said sharing is whatever problem you have now, you have seen it. There is a procedure to upload it, so that once down the lane after 10-15 days you have a problem with the same thing, you can just refer to the solution whatever I've provided. If it works, fine. If it doesn't fix the issue, then you can spend your time on it and sit and do a research and then fix it. Okay, so it's like you're sharing your solutions. It's open source. Moreover, it's open source. What is open source software is something that you need not pay any single penny for its installation or it's for maintenance. It is all free. Okay, infrastructure code. We have three terminologies: IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. So infrastructure as code is IaaS. Okay, sorry, infrastructure service IaaS. Put it aside. So from here, infrastructure as a code, what it means is, with a small script, with a proper script, I can create an infrastructure. But how is the infrastructure created? It is created from a script. It is basically in form of a code, when which is run, it can provision a huge amount of infrastructure. That is what happens with the what is this? Like there is one service called Heat in OpenStack. There is something called as a tool called Terraform, which will create infrastructure. And when coming to AWS, we have what do you say, cloud formation. Help of this, we can create infrastructure. Okay, so with the help of Puppet, even I can write a script which will again create an infrastructure. It's a pre-installation. It's fine. So it's like very simple installation. Any changes, Puppet will be taking care of it, or Chef will be taking care of any of the updates, minimum amount of fixes. It's not like a hamster race, but it's like something which is in a more organized way. Whenever you're having some updates, you have to do an updation on 10 servers. Yeah, you have to do an updation of 10 servers. 10 servers you have to log in, or 10 servers you have to do something. But when you're doing it on your master and asking you to do it on your client, it reflects in all the machines. That's the beauty of using such tools. Okay. That's a software approach, how it goes. You define your code here, or define your modules or cookbooks. You simulate or run it, okay, and then you enforce all the changes from your current machine to on the whatever servers it is from. That's the old state to a desired state. Whatever new changes are made, and after that you can view or monitor the reports. The architecture on all, and there will be an agent running on all the clients. There will be an agent running, okay, so which would be responsible for listening to all the commands whichever or instructions whatever master is giving, and pulling the changes from a master and doing the changes inside a hardware, inside a virtual machine, some environment. The agent is responsible for it. There are some benefits. Open source, supports multiple platforms, Unix, Linux, Windows, CentOS, etc. Easily scalable, working reproducibility, security, hence increases productivity. I told you, right? So it's working fine in one server, it will work fine in all the servers because all are the replica. Orbit is model driven, requires limited programming knowledge. Yes, you might think, I have to write some, really some huge amount of steps. So I'm really bad at programming. So it doesn't matter. You have some tags. If you can remember few tags, that is enough. It is more or less like just specify with small keyword. You have to specify what it has to do. It's not having any syntactically so much defined, not syntactically so much constraints it has. Okay, it's very simple. And these are a lot of the clients which are using such configuration management tools. Okay. So any doubts so far?
I'm clear.
You're good, right? Hello?
I'm good.
Okay. I'll do one thing. I share this presentation along with the Jenkins Linux server installation with Shiva. That he'll share it with you. Okay. We'll continue it over installation, and I know proper introduction to chef or something um, with its introduction to its terminology and installation in the next session. Okay, tomorrow probably. Okay.
Yeah, okay, Spandana.
Yeah.
You'll be sharing the document now, right? The
SAP.
Linux
Yeah. Yeah. SAP.
installation.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank
I'll
you.
do it in 10-15 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah.